Hello everybody, it is I, the Master Redwood, and welcome to episode 2 of Pyro Strats. For this episode, we'll be talking about every other melee weapon. However, I'm going to skim through a few melee weapons, which are either very specific or not very good. Let's start with the sharpened volcano fragment. Now, it deals 20% less damage, but it lights people on fire. If you've seen the first episode, you should be aware how unreliable melee weapons are for damage. Now, I'm not going to say this weapon is bad, just very specific. If you're the kind of person who likes using medieval mode or any other TF2 game mode which forces you to use melee weapons, then this is a decent weapon. There is also the third degree. In addition for it having the same stats as the fire axe, it also will damage anyone that's healing the target you hit. It is actually a straight upgrade, which makes it theoretically better than the fire axe. However, when it comes to shining, it's very situational. Overall, you'll use a third degree like a normal fire axe. Then there's the homewrecker, which I don't think is good at all. Have you ever tried meleeing a sentry? Because unless you melee a sentry, that double damage is useless. But it also removes sappers, which brings me to my first recommended weapon, the Neon Annihilator. The Neon Annihilator has a 100% crit chance against wet players. It also removes sappers on hit, with its two penalties being minus 20% damage and no random crits. However, there is one thing this weapon has going for it, which makes it a very valid melee weapon. It shines in water. Keep in mind, the Pyro's primary cannot work in water, and if you have a flare gun, your secondary won't work in water, effectively making you forced to use your melee. So when your melee is guaranteed to be a critical in those situations, then it becomes really good. It can also be really satisfying to kill people in water. Keep in mind, enemies can still be critted for about 3 seconds after leaving the water with the Neon Annihilator. It is also important to note that if you're Gerardied or milked, you are susceptible to the Neon Annihilator. And going on to its next purpose, removing sappers, with the Neon Annihilator, and I guess the homewrecker too if you count it. The Pyro is the only other class that is not an engineer who can remove sappers. Paired with the ability to light invisible spots on fire and reflect projectiles, this makes the Pyro an invaluable member to an engineer. Unless you're using your melee for a specific purpose, the Neon Annihilator is a perfect weapon to hold, just in case. Moving to the next weapon I recommend, the Back Scratcher. The 25% damage buff seems nice, but what we really want is the 50% extra health on health pickups. Small health pickups heal 54 health instead of 36, while mediums heal 131 health instead of 88. And the large health pickup will max out your health no matter what, instead of healing 175. Now, the Back Scratcher does have a downside. 75% less health from any other healing source that's not a health pickup. If you have a reliable medic, backing up an engineer with a dispenser, or you're pushing the payload cart, the Back Scratcher is not very good. Now, if you are in a situation where you're not going to get healed by the medic, your engineer does not have a dispenser, and you're not pushing the cart, well, I mean, if this is happening, then there's something wrong with your team, and this won't help you. However, this also means that your Back Scratcher has no downsides, which means it's the perfect weapon for a lone wolf pyro relying on health packs. Then lastly, there is the Power Jack. The Power Jack is a very special kind of weapon. It makes you run 15% faster and restores 25% health on kill, with its only downside being a 20% damage vulnerability. Though a 20% damage vulnerability just means you'll die with 40 less damage dealt to you. Though it's not the most common thing that a pyro survives with 40 or less health in a battle. Although you will lose battles where you would have otherwise won. Personally, I think the amount of battles you will lose because of the Power Jack is outweighed by its benefits. I am talking about the speed bonus of 15%. Now, 15% speed bonus does not sound like much, but when you put it in the context of everyone else's speed, it becomes much better. Now, if we refer to TF2 speeds as a percentage, the Pyro actually runs at base speed of 100%. The Scout's base speed is 133%. The Medic's speed is 107%. Heavy's is 77%. The Soldier is 80%. Demo Man is 93%. And the Sniper, Spy, and Engineer are 100. Now, excluding the Demo Man, Soldier, and Heavy, the Pyro runs as fast or slower than every other class. With the Power Jack, you get a 15% movement speed. Now, 15% does not sound like much, but it really does add up really quickly. Otherwise, if they're not in range and they're running, you'll never be in range, and you'll be forced to use your secondary. This also means if you are running, only Scouts can catch you. And believe me, it makes a huge difference over long distances. However, like the other melee weapons, it really depends on what you're going for. For example, if you're guarding a location and you're letting them come to you, you probably don't need the Power Jack. Likewise, if you're capping the intel, you probably want the Power Jack so no one catches you. And that is every melee weapon summed up, excluding the reskins. For the next episode, we will talk about secondaries and when they're useful. So until the next time, Master Redwood signing out.